Since biceps were such a big hit, we're going into triceps. So today is the 4 exercises you need to add to get those triceps growing. I get a lot of questions about, what do you do when you want to move some weight? What about close grip bench? So the variation I do of those is actually a floor version, right? So I'll do floor presses with a close grip bench. And the reason I like these is because my whole methodology is about pushing blood into muscle. So even with these, it kind of plays into that side because the stretch is a real nice extreme stretch. It's pushed against the ground, so it's a weighted stretch, but it's getting a little like almost that blood flow restricted style of training of putting your tricep against the ground and then driving from there. So even when I'm overloading that muscle, I'm pushing a ton of blood in there, and it's a complete pause at the bottom. So it takes all the momentum out of it, and you're just driving through that tricep. Now it goes without saying, but just to make sure we're on the same page, you're never locking that elbow out. If you've locked it out at any point in any tricep exercise, you messed up. And then what I do after about 3 sets of that heavy weight, 6 to 10 reps, then I'll do a Widowmaker set, which is basically 20 to 30 reps of me just pushing so much blood in that muscle I can't move it. Because if I walked away after 3 or 4 heavy sets, I wouldn't feel satisfied. Wouldn't feel like I got the job done. My central nervous system would be taxed, but the muscle itself wouldn't feel like I really pushed it to the limit. So every time I do a heavy exercise, a couple heavy sets, I always throw a Widowmaker at the end of it. My favorite attachment for triceps is the rope, because with a little tweak of the wrist, you can really engage it that much more. And one of the best ways to use it is with the French press. Now, even better than dumbbells, because dumbbells are great. You can move a ton of weight. You get a nice, good contraction in there, but the problem is you're limited because you're working against gravity the entire time. And after a certain point, you're really just moving the weight over your head, and you lose that engagement. Now with the rope, you're engaged the entire time. It's constant tension. You're not gonna be able to use a ton of weight because you gotta pick this up and hand it to yourself, basically. But it's really an incredible squeeze. And the nice part too is, we talked about with the wrist and the tricep here, is as you flex up, you can change the angle of your wrist to engage that tricep that much more. So don't be afraid to get inventive with these. If you want to drag over a bench and just sit on that, or just sit on the floor. And the same goes for the angle at which you pull, right? So some people feel better if they're pulling straight up. If you get a little bit of an angle, that might be the one for you. And the same goes with wrists, right? You can pull straight forward, flex it out. It just kind of depends on what you're trying to hit. If you've ever seen somebody do press downs with a T-bar handle, it's a great movement. Problem is, I don't care who you are, wrist flexibility is going to be an issue. So the one thing you do is grab 2 handle attachments, and as you're pulling down that same motion, you actually get to pull it apart, and it engages it that much more. And the one thing you'll see me do is I roll my shoulders forward a ton, and that's just going to engage that inside of that tricep, that inner tricep. All right, so we're going to finish where we started with a nameless exercise. I'm sure somebody's named it along the way. I've just done it for years. I don't know what it's called, but basically it's a standing free weight skull crusher, and the level of intensity is based upon how low you put the bar. So all you're going to do is let yourself drift into a stretch and then flex back up, and then it's just repping it out from there. Same principles apply here. Don't lock it out, but also try to find that range of motion that really works for you. Sometimes you have to push your butt nice and high to make you keep tension on that tricep, and you're not relaxing at the top. So you might have to cut the motion even in half, right? So you might go from the full stretch to a half rep, but if you're engaged in the tricep, we're just trying to burn it out, push a ton of blood, and just finish them off. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, get after it, get growing. I'll talk to you soon.